Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
And my name's James, aka FPL Drug.
You alright, bud?
Yeah, not too bad. I think I'm gonna have to change that intro soon because I'm still suspended on Twitter.
Oh, I know, mate. You've had an absolute mare there.
Yeah, I have, and one of the players in the first game that we're going to talk about. That's I'm going to blame for it.
Yeah, I was going to say Ben White is the reason why you have been suspended from Twitter, and we'll come on to that. But yeah, it was Arsenal 3, Aston Villa 1.
Yeah, good, strong performance from Arsenal. Perhaps those that punted on Danny Ings will be sort of very disappointed
Yeah.
with the captaincy. In fairness, I'm disappointed as well. I've got Ben White as my captain. The clean sheet to go so late again was a big blow. But I wasn't going to make the transfer when I already had the coverage. I just didn't know who I'd go to. Um, yeah, there was no real kind of option. Obviously, in hindsight, you can say Smith Rowe, but
Yeah, I don't think
no,
it
I don't
was.
think people saw that coming.
No, I think the two main captains across the board were probably Aubameyang if you were Arsenal, Martinez if you were Villa, and they both paid off at the end of the day. Obviously, Martinez got himself the pen save, and then got himself save tier 2, whereas excuse me, Aubameyang obviously got the pen miss, but then scored, got the assist, got shot tier 2. So I think they were pretty even on points come the end of the game. But yeah, Smith Rowe, if anybody was on him, what a gamble. But yeah, goal and an assist, brilliant performance from the lad. I think would have been a viable shout for those Arsenal fixtures if you had gone there. Those of you like yourself, obviously with Arsenal defensive coverage, I think it's unfortunate. Fair to say I was pretty happy because I don't own an Arsenal defender, but I know that there's a lot of people that went with Ben White at the overhaul solely because of these Arsenal games. And yeah, to not gain the clean sheet there, I think is probably a little bit frustrating, isn't it?
Massively so.
Yeah. Um, as for the Villa assets, like you said, I think Danny Ings frustrating. Watkins, I've seen in a few teams again frustrating. Got himself booked as well, so it was just a 1 pointer. Um, and with Villa moving away from this back three, which was atrocious, Arsenal absolutely dominated. We could well see Ings potentially through the middle and Watkins pushed out wide in the next game. So for Watkins owners, I'm not sure if that really benefits him. It's going to be worth keeping an eye on.
Definitely.
All right, jumping on to the Saturday games, and so we had the news that Lukaku was out. So quite a few people, I can imagine, in Sky that had Lukaku may well have jumped onto Kai Havertz, potentially even putting the armband on him. And God, you were unlucky. It was Chelsea 7, Norwich 0.
Yeah, very much a rout here. Mason Mount, obviously a very good performance from him. Just hasn't had the minutes previously
No.
to warrant putting him in your Sky team. You kind of need that certainty over minutes. If he gets it, then we can start having that conversation. Rudiger, heavily owned and just missing out on passing tier.
Fucking furious. I was counting. Obviously, me and you were in the pub watching this, weren't we? And I was effectively counting his passes at the end. And yeah, when he got to 59 and then they blew the whistle, I was like, "You joking me?" Like, no, because he was my captain. I thought nailed clean sheet in this game. So when we saw that Aspilicueta was on the bench, I was a little bit pissed off about that. So I put the armband on Rudiger. And yeah, to not get those extra 2 points would have been an extra four, wouldn't it? Is a little bit annoying.
It is, and one thing that annoyed me in this game, one of my teams, I made the effort to go to Havertz, and he turned out to be the only player to not get a return in this game.
Yeah, it's harsh.
Yeah, just never even looked close to returning as well,
No.
which is surprising in a game that had 7 goals.
Yeah, he had that one shot on target, which wasn't really a shot on target, was it? It was more of a scuffed effort that Krul comfortably saved. But yeah, taken off in the 70th minute in the end. And again, he just looked isolated, which was
Yeah,
really strange. Like, I know we've mentioned that Lukaku occasionally doesn't look like he's in the game the way Chelsea play, but yeah, Havertz, it was even more so. And it was so obvious watching it.
yeah, just the same as it is with Lukaku. So I think it's very much a system thing.
Yeah.
I think they need an extra man up there to support each other because they do get so isolated.
Yeah, it really feels like it. Obviously, both Chilwell and Reece James getting a goal apiece there. So great, yeah, great win back options for Chelsea. Rotation is always going to be the case. Obviously, Chalobah came in. The jammy bastard got 60 passes compared to Rudiger's 59. So that's a little bit annoying. But I think we're going to see rotation. You know, the Tuchel Tombola, as it's being dubbed. I think it's going to be a common theme throughout the next few weeks, particularly the run up to Christmas.
Agreed.
Right, moving on then to Palace 1, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, an interesting one in terms of the tier stats for this game. We'll do our weekly Newcastle midfield feature. This time it was Longstaff that got 5 tackles.
Hey! There's always one.
Yeah, they love to put their foot in. But yeah, the Palace defence 96, 97, and 98 passes for Ward, Anderson, and Guay.
Oh, it's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. When do you ever see that from a Palace defence?
In fairness, you don't often see a Palace team having 75% possession.
Nah.
So this may be a sort of an outlier, a one-off.
It might be, but I genuinely think Vieira is trying to implement a particular style of football for Palace, and it is slowly working. I mean, obviously, we saw them come back in the game against Arsenal. It's a different kind of game, but at home to Newcastle, that they were very much a possession-based team in this game, and it clearly shows. And yes, 75% possession. I think they tripled the amount of chances that Newcastle had, and that they should have put them to bed. In fairness, so 1-1, I think, is quite a disappointing result if you're a Palace fan.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they've been playing some quite attractive football. I've been
Yeah.
quite impressed when I've seen Vieira's teams this season.
Likewise.
So I think they're moving in the right direction. I think it's just a shame that they've only got a point in this game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and obviously Gallagher quite heavily owned. Didn't get anything in tiers this time round compared to the Arsenal game, so it was a 2-pointer there, unfortunately. Jumping on then to a game that really took us by surprise, particularly when we looked at the score, 70 minutes, Everton 2, Watford 1. I thought, game done. Everton 2, Watford 5 was the final result.
Yeah, big surprise this one. Fair play to Josh King going back to the club that he was on loan at and showing them how it's done. Very impressive, owned by probably no one.
Yeah.
But yeah, very strong performance from Watford. I took Sarr out of my team this week, and my sort of heart dropped when I heard the Watford score. But I was very relieved to realise he actually got substituted and didn't really get involved at all.
Yeah, it's frustrating for Sarr owners because obviously he gets taken off in the 64th minute with, I think it's Tufan. Both Dennis and Pedro come on, and then they both get returns. Dennis got a goal, 2 assists. Pedro got the assist. Sarr does nothing in a 5-2 game. It's annoying, but obviously Dennis picked up his 5th yellow card, so he's going to be suspended for the Saints game. So I don't think Sarr, is going to lose his place. And it was probably just Ranieri saying, look, you not really have much of an influence. I'm not afraid to take you off. But we all know that Sarr is the talisman of Watford.
Yeah, and it's a very good decision from Ranieri, clearly. I expect Sarr to go straight back into the team, but it clearly shows he can see when things aren't working and make changes to devastating effect.
Agreed, yeah. And as for Everton, I think probably Damari Gray is going to be the most owned player out of that Everton side, and popped up with an assist, so he's ticking over. I think it was another 5-pointer. He's a player that I'm personally going to be holding for the foreseeable with the single game days coming up for Everton. But judging by this performance, they're going to need vast improvement if anybody that doesn't own Everton is going to be wanting to bring them in, because it wasn't pretty.
No, I want to see a lot more from them. I brought in Townsend in one of my teams this week with a view to covering those fixtures. Townsend's been impressive so far. He's been scoring, assisting.
Yep.
I imagine he may even occasionally get involved in the tiers, but yeah, it's not a big selling point for their captaincy days, this fixture, but hopefully they'll bounce back.
Yeah, it's not great. Right, jumping on then to a game in which probably had an effect on quite a few Sky managers with an injury to a certain player. It was Leeds 1, Wolves 1.
Yeah, Rafinha going off in the second half.
Yeah.
Frustration for many. I own him in one team, and I've still not made a move. I know some people made the move on the Saturday to players played on the Sunday, which I can understand. But if there's any chance of him being available for that Norwich game, I'm going to want him in my team. So it's just I'm going to be at the mercy of team news.
Yeah, big time. I think team news is going to be key because obviously we had the cryptic message from Rafinha saying I'll be back soon, but what does that mean? And I think Leeds probably the standout captaincy option on the Sunday this weekend. Obviously they play in Norwich, whilst it's Villa West Ham. So if you've got Antonio, if Rafinha is a player, you've probably got coverage there. But yeah, that Leeds game, you'd probably want Rafinha as your captain, even though Leeds haven't looked great. Norwich were just on the end of a 7-0 drumming, so the likelihood would be that I'd be going Rafinha. The issue being the fact that he's out, and I made the gamble in both of my teams to take him out after seeing the video and the replay of the injury. I can't imagine he's going to be back for the weekend. If he is, I'll eat my words, but I genuinely can't see how you recover from that kind of challenge within a week. So I brought in Mbuemo in one team and Tielemans in the other, and obviously Tielemans paid off 11-pointer there, which we'll come on to. But yeah, I think it's just frustrating because Rafinha is a player that I was anticipating to hold for the foreseeable, and I guess doing this has meant that going down to the likes of Mbuemo has freed up some funds, so I can maybe make more of a change elsewhere. Maybe the double up on City and whatnot. But yeah, it's frustrating. I'm just gonna have to hope that he doesn't feature this weekend, and then I probably don't want him back until end of December. So
Yeah, fair shout. On the Wolves side of things, Huang doing the business again.
yeah,
He's at that sort of, I think he's at 7.8 million price point. I might be wrong on that, but there's a lot of players around that price point, and he's potentially a good player to move on to. I had the choice between him and Townsend. I went Townsend, but Huang Huang did the business this week.
spot on 7.8 million midfielder.
Yeah, so you got like Benarama, Sarr, all around that kind of 7.8 mark. So
Yeah,
I think Huang's another good one if you're looking to, if you got frustrated with say Benarama, you could move him to Huang quite easily.
yeah, and obviously covers off. I think it's that Everton Wolves fixture that's the single.
Yes.
So he'd obviously cover that. Just a note, I think we've got a question about it later, but just to point out that see Leeds centre backs once again hitting passing tier seems to be a regular feature for Leeds this season.
Yeah, particularly Cooper as well.
Yeah, definitely. Right, jumping onto a game in which we were both in attendance, and I know you brought one particular player into your Sky team. It was Southampton 2, Burnley 2.
Yeah, this was amazing. So obviously great seeing your team score as is, but on top of that, I brought Livramento into both Sky teams this week, and to
Great
see him
shout.
score was just amazing.
Yeah, brilliant shout.
Delighted, yeah. I think it's 11-pointer in both teams, and that's without a clean sheet. So very happy with that. I brought him in with the Southampton Aston Villa game
Yep.
in mind
Mhm.
because I didn't have coverage in either team. Now I do, and after this performance, I feel pretty comfortable captaining Livramento.
Yeah, I've gone the other way early, obviously by going Martinez goalkeeper wise for that fixture. But yeah, I think Livramento is probably going to be a good captaincy shout, and I wouldn't be surprised if we score. So I'm not expecting a clean sheet from Martinez. And yeah, Livramento just looks so good, doesn't he? He's what 6.5 million in this game.
Yeah, brilliant, cheap asset. Always going forward, taking players on, um, making tackles as well. He's
Yep.
only 2 away from tackle tier in this game. Just a very lively player. He may have got man of the match in this as well.
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, man of the match, 3 points, and I it wouldn't surprise me to see him getting more man of the matches. To be honest.
No, I was surprised with the man of match Cole, given on the other side, Cornet got both goals for Burnley. But maybe the fact that he was subbed off, 78th minute, might have swayed it slightly. And I think Livramento probably had more of an impact across the whole game, whereas obviously Cornet had 2 chances, 2 goals. Didn't really get involved in the game much else, did he?
No, no, he was good from what he did. He took his chance as well, but I think it could have gone to either of them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, agreed. And then obviously Brozier is probably coming into question for Saints assets, but unless you're desperate for coverage for that Villa game, I probably wouldn't really be going anywhere near any other Saints asset other than Timo Livramento right now.
Yeah, agreed. I think most of the others are all get rotated or just aren't appealing enough.
Yeah, agreed. Right, jumping on to the next game on the Saturday, and it was the Saturday evening fixture. And in fairness, quite a surprising one in terms of Sky. It was Brighton 1, Man City 4.
Yeah, very strong performance for City. Very surprising in terms of the passing tier for City.
Yeah,
The Cancelo was the only defender to hit it, and
just got there as well.
what's worth mentioning is Sanchez. I think maybe would have been the first goalkeeper to potentially get passing tier, but he
Yeah.
was 2 passes
Oh,
off on 58 passes, which is
crazy.
huge for a
Absolutely
keeper.
crazy. I think it's the most passes by any goalkeeper in the Premier League history.
That does not surprise
Yeah,
me.
madness.
They were playing it out from the back, very much reminiscent of what Pep does with his teams.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work for them because City can press them, work them hard, and win the ball back. And City were just class in possession. And what that man in particular, Phil Foden.
Oh, he was unbelievable. And he is definitely becoming a viable Sky option. Obviously, start of the season wasn't really getting minutes, was he? Whereas now it's 4 consecutive starts. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists in that period, and he is 9.6 million, so he's at the top end of midfielders, but he might be worth it if you're, say, not willing to go 4-5 at the back. If you wanted to have a good solid midfielder in there that is a bit of a punt, but you could potentially captain him if you do get to see the lineups, for instance, and we get to see a lot of the City lineups, I think, in the coming, 4 to 6 weeks, because they're the first team that's playing. And if Foden's in that team sheet each time, you might be tempted to put the armband on him.
Definitely. I think, yeah, his minutes have been consistent recently. I think I'd actually prefer him to Kevin De Bruyne, even if Kevin De Bruyne started.
Yeah, yeah.
And that sort of speaks volumes of how well Foden's performing.
Big time, yeah. And I think the only other thing worthy of note, obviously Brighton defensively, Sanchez picked up 8 saves in the game, so it shows just how dominant City were. And Lewis Dunk, 76 passes, obviously picked up pass in tier 2, more than double any other defender in the Brighton back line, and obviously more passes than any of the Man City defenders, which just summarises kind of how much the play goes through Sanchez to dunk out wide, back to dunk, to try and build from the back. Right, jumping on then to the next game, James, and that was Brentford 1, Leicester 2.
Yeah, another goal for a Brentford defender as well. They seem to be scoring a few from the back this season so far. I think a few people have gone in Bremo in Sky.
Yeah, I've
Um,
gone in, which is
maybe with a
unfortunate.
view to the Watford Brentford game eventually, but also just because
He's
I
so
guess they've
cheap.
liked he's cheap. They've liked what they've seen,
Yeah.
but gone off after 57 minutes. So that's a bit of a shame. Just 6 passes as well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a kick in the teeth, and I mean, he had a chance early on in the game. I think that he could have taken it. Was saved well by Schmeichel, but yeah, just to see him go off, I think it was a minor hamstring issue. So obviously taken off precautionary. Fingers crossed. It sounds like he could be back for Saturday. I think that the gaffer in the press conference after the game was optimistic, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think for me, he's probably still going to be a hold though, because I don't want to then be using a transfer to take him out and then bring him back in again. And it just feels a waste. I think it's 7.2 million. he frees up quite a lot of funds. So yeah, for me, it's probably a hold. As for Leicester, the man of the moment once again, Yuri Tielemans, absolute screamer of a goal. I think he picked up man of the match in the game, and yeah, got himself 11-pointer. Well worth consideration, and I brought him into my B team this week.
Yeah, good decision. Other weeks he's sort of on that passing tier and tackle tier as well.
Mm.
But yeah, he's capable of scoring a screamer. It even takes the occasional free kick as well. I think
Yeah, he does.
decent player to have. For myself, Jamie Vardy, very disappointing for him to go off injured at just after half time or
Yeah.
at half time. Um, I'm just glad I didn't captain him because I nearly did.
Oh God, yeah.
And going him over Salah would have probably killed that team.
I would have, yeah.
But thankfully I did Salah.
Good, you saw sense.
I did. Not that you could have seen that coming, to be
No,
honest.
no, definitely
We'll
not.
come into that in a minute. But yeah, another strong performance from Leicester. It's good to have James Maddison back.
Yeah,
Well, I'll have a keep my eye on him for future weeks because I know Leicester do have sort of captaincy days down the line, quite far down the line, but it's one to keep in mind.
yeah, no, agreed. Madison's an annoying one because I went for him last season for Leicester's really good run, and he was probably the only Leicester player that did fuck all. So I've been a little bit burned by him, and I'd be reluctant to go back there at the moment. But yeah, he does seem to be picking up some form, and he played well in the Europa League, and obviously got his goal in this one. So certainly worth keeping an eye on for the foreseeable. Moving on then to a game in which quite a lot of us have probably got at least one asset from. It was West Ham 1, Spurs 0.
Yep, Antonio doing the business again.
Yeah.
Scored the only goal of the game. Declan Rice on 8 tackles, worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Johnson at the back as well on 5 tackles. Fabianski getting saved here. Højbjerg, the ever reliable Højbjerg, week after week,
You love him.
nailing the tiers. 91 passes,
Yeah.
never in doubt. I'm just surprised I've not got him in both teams.
Yeah, honestly, I am too. He's been so consistent this season, and yeah, fair play to him because yeah, you went for there at overhaul. A lot of people questioned it, or I questioned it, given you know, Spurs' performances hadn't been great. He wasn't really picking up tiers pre-overhaul, but he stuck by him, and yeah, he's this change of formation, particularly for Spurs, is really paying off. Him and Oliver Skip together seems to be working really well, particularly obviously Sky, because the ball goes through them, and yeah, 79 and 91 passes each. Like fair play. Frustrating a little bit for Kane owners. I'm one of them. Obviously, had the one good chance that Fabianski saved well. Other than that, wasn't really involved in the game much, which is annoying. But Son, you know, same. He had one chance, and I do expect them both to return probably in the coming weeks, and they've got good fixtures. But yeah, this game just wasn't to be.
No, I'd be pretty disappointed too, if I'm honest.
Finally, then James, and the game that yes, we might have expected Liverpool to win, but I did not expect this kind of performance. It was Manchester United 0, Liverpool 5.
Yeah, absolutely tore United apart before the red card.
Yeah,
It was insane. Very good performance. Too easy for Liverpool to pass it through them. And every player for Liverpool played pretty well, if I'm honest.
yeah.
Henderson getting a mammoth 128 passes, which is insane. 128.
I know, it's mad.
That is insane, and a fantastic assist
Yeah,
for Salah's goal.
stunning.
Yeah, beautiful. And Salah, if you've not already got him, I'm sure he'll be in your team
Uh,
by next weekend.
has to be surely. I mean, he's what 99.7% owned in the
Who are
top.
these 0.3 people?
I know exactly, and the top 1K is crazy. Like, how are
Yeah,
they still in the top 1K after not owning and captaining Salah? Is yeah, questionable. But I
Everton
guess
fans, gotta be.
yeah, has to be. But obviously Matip, I think there's quite a few people on him. I'm on him in my B team. So I benched this time round. May well have been that Kanate was preferred, you know, to maybe deal with the pace of Manchester United. I've not really heard much of it otherwise, but I'd be surprised to see Matip miss out again because he's been really good for Liverpool and potentially just given a rest in this one, maybe tactical. But yeah, looking at that, Man United wise was atrocious. That there was just no commitment there really. Six bookings, no tiers picked up other than David De Gea with three saves, and I genuinely feel like Liverpool took their foot off the gas, because it was 5-0 before the sending off, and then obviously when Pogba gets sent off, like yeah, silly, really bad challenge. Um, they they didn't go on to then pick up any more, and I was a bit annoyed because at that point I thought, this could be an absolute rout. Obviously, you text me saying things could get messy, and it didn't, which was really frustrating to see.
Yeah, I think they could have scored 8, 9,
Yeah,
even 10 the way they were playing. They did seem to sort of ease off a bit, which is a shame.
yeah, it's a little bit annoying given teams against us don't particularly take their foot off the gas, do they? So,
No, they don't.
right then, let's move on to how we got on in Sky before jumping on to our Twitter questions. So, how'd you get on then, James?
Yeah, I've gone okay. Mainly thanks to Mo.
Yeah.
So I got 99 points in Team One and 106 in Team Two, which
Nice.
could have been considerably more because I've got double Wolves defense in that. I've
Oh,
got Jose Sarr and Size,
oh, that's
so
harsh.
bit cruel
Nin-
to lose those clean sheets at the end.
94th minute.
So that's Team One in 3.3k, Team Two in 4.4k,
Yeah,
both with 35 transfers. So there's still
good position.
room to lower my rank.
Yeah, yeah,
Livramento, obviously, very happy with that decision in both
yeah.
teams.
Very good shout.
Um, Van Dijk getting me 9 points, Cancelo on 6, even Meslier managed to get 4 points in Team One. Team Two, Trent on 13, Hoiberg on his 5, Antonio for 7. It's okay.
Yeah,
It could have been more though. Like Rafinha, the Wolves players. It's just the way it goes with some of the other players.
yeah, definitely. For me, team one, I got 113 points. Team two, 94. Couple of players missing out in both teams, which was a bit frustrating. Aspie probably being the main one. He's in both teams for me. So yeah, to obviously see him miss out against Norwich when probably very likely to have picked up the clean sheet. Could have even got an attack and return. We saw both wing backs in the game, kind of picking up goals in that game. Had he played out wide rather than Reece James, what's to say he could have got a couple of assists because he enjoys that. So I was a little bit down to see it, but I fully expect it was just a rest, and fingers crossed he should be back for the Newcastle game because Newcastle and Burnley next two. I think Chelsea probably two clean sheets there. Um, I think looking ahead for the captaincies in the coming weekend, obviously we've got the single game day on the Monday. It's the Wolves Everton fixture that we've been discussing. For me, I'll be on Damari Gray in both teams. Have you got coverage there?
Yeah, so I brought Townsend into Team One, so he'll be my captain. And in Team Two, I've just got the choice between Size and Saar. Not sure who I'll go for, to be honest. Maybe Saar.
Yeah, I think potentially the better option in terms of at least save tier there. The Sunday games, obviously, it's Norwich Leeds and Villa West Ham. It would have been Rafinha in both teams for me, but I've got rid of him now following that injury. Just hope it doesn't come back to bite me on the arse. But I think it's going to be Antonio in both teams for me in that one.
For me, yeah, it depends on Rafinha. If he's fit for that, then he'll be my captain. If not, I'm actually. Oh no, I'll just go Antonio.
Yeah. And for the
Yeah,
Saturday, do we have to discuss it? Surely Mo Salah.
yeah,
Yeah, gotta
yeah.
be.
It's not worth thinking about.
No. Right. Jumping on then to the Twitter questions, and we've got quite a few this week, James. So first things first, questioning from Tom at SkyFF. What would you guys do with Christensen?
That's a very good question. I've taken him out of my team because I've just sort of become frustrated as to the reliability of his minutes.
Yeah.
I did the downgrade to Livramento to free up a bit of cash and also give me that coverage in the game. If you're not covered for Southampton Villa, I'd still recommend it.
Yeah.
The fixtures are still pretty decent. The next three are Watford, Villa, Norwich. You could then maybe move them on after that because it gets a bit tougher in terms of Saints' run. Um, but yeah, I think Christensen, even moving him to say Chilwell or Azpilicueta, maybe even a better move, or Rudiger, if you can afford it. That was my problem. I couldn't afford any of the other kind of Chelsea assets,
Yeah,
so I took the decision to just move away entirely.
agreed. It has been frustrating. And obviously, we've seen that Chalobah seems to be playing against the kind of weaker opponents in the Premier League to almost give him minutes. And with Newcastle and Burnley coming up, we what's not to say that? I mean, we've not seen the lineups yet, but what's not to say? Christensen plays against Saints in the Carabao Cup, and then Chalobah plays once again at the weekend. Newcastle. It's a
I
tricky
feel like
one.
that will end up happening, if
Yeah.
I'm honest,
So
and it's going to be frustrating for
exactly.
anyone still on him.
And Tom snuck in a second question, which I think is a quick answer. It's oh, and I brought in Danny Ings for Lukaku on Friday. Turned out to be a right shitter. Would you just keep him now until Saints or cut losses? For me, I'd keep him.
Same,
Yeah,
keep him.
definitely. He's probably going to score against us Friday night under the lights back at St Mary's. Yeah, he's going to score. Um, quick one in from Pete Colley. As Saints fans, is Livramento a decent pick to cover the Villa single game day, but also to keep going forward? I think we've answered that definitely.
Yes.
Question in from FF Dempsey. So, with most good managers loaded up on Chelsea and City defenders, is it worthwhile swinging against and potentially doubling up on the Liverpool defence?
I
Hmm.
mean, it's one way of coming back, um, but I think Chelsea's fixtures at the moment, I think it's hard to look at anywhere else.
Yeah,
Obviously, Burnley coming up as well. It's yeah,
I think
I don't
that.
know. Maybe getting one Liverpool defender's worthwhile, but two maybe a risk too far.
Yeah, agreed. I think there's a reason that most good managers are doing well this season, and it's because they've gone for the teams that are doing well and the fixtures are there. And at this stage, it's still very early on in the season. I mean, we're only what almost a quarter. It's just a quarter of the way through. I don't think it's worth the gamble to try and go against the form and the statistics as of yet. Uh, Liverpool defensively, we've seen with Van Dijk and Trent, yeah, that they can be really good assets, but they've occasionally got the odd 2-pointer in there, and that's not what you want to see if you've gone against and made a couple of moves.
Agreed.
Um, question in from Ryan Fitzsimon. Now, he's asked a couple, but I'll pick one. So, my current plan is to move James Ward-Prowse to Mbeumo after the single game day on Saturday the 6th. Looking at the fixtures, I only have Liam Cooper's coverage on Tuesday the 30th. Would you suggest going JWP to Gallagher instead on the 6th and then Gallagher to Mbeumo? No, for me, because if you've already got coverage in Liam Cooper for that Leeds Palace game, I don't think you'd want to be spending another transfer to bring in another asset for that because you're then giving yourself a captaincy headache. Say you then punt it on Gallagher, gets himself 2-pointer, but Liam Cooper keeps a clean sheet and, passing tier. I think you'll be a bit pissed off and you've effectively spent a transfer to get less points. So I'm not sure I'd make that move because then you're bringing in Gallagher to then take him out again. So it's two transfers.
Yeah, I'd agree as well. Just yeah, if you've got the coverage, just keep him. I'd say.
Yeah, and obviously if he goes straight to Mbeumo and he has put a note as a comment in the next, it then covers the Brentford single match day. If Mbeumo is fit by that point, I'd just go JWP to Mbeumo. I wouldn't bother with the Gallagher move personally. All right, two more questions in. I'll save Dan Cox's to last. So we'll go FPL Thomas, one of our man on mates. It was which player that you currently own would you trust to cook you dinner?
Ooh, I think Mo Salah
Yeah.
because he's just seems to be a really nice guy. Whereas Jamie Vardy might gob in your food.
Love it. That's a cracking answer. Yeah, I mean Mo Salah. I think Egyptian cuisine might be quite tasty. Might be pretty good there. I've got the likes of Jordan Pickford in one of my teams. I can't imagine he cooks you a good meal. It's probably a burger and chips, and the burger will be burnt. I guess the only other player maybe Aspilicueta, the Spanish influence there, and he is very good at putting things on a plate. So I think that could be a good option there.
Yeah.
Final question then, in from Dan Cox. Is not having Kane an option, and who would you cover him with?
Yes, and but if you're talking like captaincy days, then Antonio. But if you're talking, I don't know. I think there's plenty of other good strikers out there that are currently doing the business, and my teams are okay forward line wise without him.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a striker and you don't want Harry Kane, I know it sounds crazy, but Aubameyang is a potential option there. You've obviously got some captaincy days in there for him that are possible. You'll see the Arsenal fixture against Newcastle. Yeah, you've got Liverpool Saints that day, but you could punt on Aubameyang there. I also think Aubameyang. They've got I think it's Thursday, the 2nd of December. You've obviously got Spurs, Brentford, and Man United, Arsenal. If you're not on Kane in terms of that fixture, you could well go Aubameyang against a Man United team if Ollie's in charge. We've seen how poor they are defensively. That could be another captaincy option. Um, if you wanted to free up some funds, why not go Son rather than Harry Kane? If you really don't want to punt on Kane, save the money, go Son, and you use the funds elsewhere. But I think there are definitely options. And in terms of captaincies, yes, Spurs have got good games, but other than Sunday the 5th of December, which is when they play Norwich at home, you see the team sheet, and there aren't really that many other options that day. Man United, Palace, most are on Gallagher, Leeds, Brentford, and Buemo maybe, Villa, Leicester. I think that's probably the standout option for Harry Kane in terms of captaincy. But like you said, that could be the good option to go Son, because I think Son could do very well against Norwich. Hopefully that gives you some solutions there, Dan. But honestly, I don't think you need it. Yeah, I know you've used a few transfers this season, but you're a stalwart in Sky for a reason, mate, and you've won it for Christ's sake. So we shouldn't be giving you advice, buddy. Right. I think that's everything for us now, James. So good luck for the weekend, folks. I sincerely hope we get no more injuries in the Carabao Cup, and we should be good to go for the forthcoming weekend. So it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.